There's one test that tells you whether you actually own a business. Can it run for 2 months without you in it? For most owners, the honest answer is no. The trucks would still be there, the equipment would still be there, the team might still be there if payroll keeps running, but the work would probably stop. The decisions would back up, the revenue would slow down, and that's really not a business. That is a collection of stuff with the owner's name on it. And when it comes time to sell the business sells for a fraction of what most owners think it's actually worth. Most business owners never get past this stall point. They stall at the same wall, and that wall has a name. And it's the source shift, the hardest identity transition in business ownership, and the one nobody prepares for. By the end of this video, you will know what is happening to you, why it shows up at level 5, and the 6 practices that get you through it, so you can grow your business to be bigger than yourself. Allow me to give you some context first. The Autonomous Leader is built around 7 levels and 9 pillars. The 7 levels go from level 1, running every part of the business yourself, to level 7, being able to choose how involved you are with your business, whether that means stepping out entirely or doubling down on the parts that you love, or really anything in between. The 9 pillars are the dimensions of the business that have to mature. That is pipeline, profit, perspectives, principles, program, people, process, progress, and power. Today, we're zooming into level 5 and one specific pillar inside of it, and that is perspective. Because level 5 is not an operations problem, it is an identity problem. And the move that solves it lives in how you see yourself. Let me tell you about a conversation I recently had. A coaching client of mine is at a point where his company is producing a significant amount of money and is providing a very comfortable life for him. And he's facing the decision to make this a real thing and really grow it, meaning he would have to make some real documents, real processes, and document principles and perspectives, and bringing on a real team and turning this company into a real asset. And that is a lot of things that he has to do, and he's overwhelmed. And he's not sure he can be the leader this company needs him to be. And then I heard him say something. I don't know if I want to be a business owner anymore. I don't know if this is all worth it. And I've heard statements like this before. I have heard it from very talented founders who built something real. And every time it shows up at the same point. Not when the business is failing, but when the business is just about to succeed in a significant way. And when the business is succeeding so well that the next step requires the owner to become someone they have never been before. And if you've ever been at this point, you know how hard it is. And if you're at this point right now, well, let's dive in and see how we can overcome this wall together. Let me take a stab at what the wall might actually look like in your business right now. You've probably spent the last several years building your company, building the team, building the systems, building the meeting rhythm and the documentations that let the work actually happen without you in every single conversation. By measure, the business is probably running right now, except for one thing. The moment you pull back, things start to slip. You took a Tuesday off recently and the team handled most of it, but 2 things did come back to your inbox that shouldn't have. The quality on a deliverable was off, and a decision that you would have made in an instant sat there for way too long. So you jumped in, you handled both of those things, and you felt that familiar mix of frustrated and useful at the same time. And the systems are there, right? The team is there. Most days the business runs the way you wanted it to, and somehow you're still the one holding it all together. And most coaches will tell you that the answer is to delegate more, hire better people, build better systems. But you've done all of that, and you are watching to still feel like the load-bearing element of your own business. This wall, the moment when the business runs but only runs when you are there, is the place where the work changes. And the next move is not operational, it is internal. And most founders never realize that, which is why most founders never finish level 5. Most business owners hit the same wall, and feel free to let me know in the comments if you have ever lived this too, or if I'm just the only one. One quick note before we go deeper: if you're not sure whether you are at level 5 or somewhere else entirely, there is a free self-assessment in the description. It will name your level, your core problem, your superpower, and your constraint. No guesswork, the link is below. So here's the part that most founders miss. Level 5 is not an operations problem, it's an identity problem. For the first 4 levels, your sense of value was internally sourced. You build value yourself through your own actions, and your value flowed back to you the moment it landed. You could feel yourself being valuable every day, multiple times a day. The system was beautifully self-reinforcing. To complete level 5, your value source has to change from internally sourced to impact source. Internally sourced value, it means I matter because I produce an outcome. Impact source value is I matter because of who I coach into becoming a leader on my team. I matter because of the person who can now run a meeting that I used to run. I matter because of the team member who handled a hard call this week the way that I would have handled it, without me being there. The problem is that the second kind of value feels nothing like the first. Internally sourced value is loud. You did the thing, you feel it, done. The signal arrives the same day and sometimes within the same hour, sometimes after you hang up the phone. Impact source value is quiet. The team grew, the system held. The business ran without you and nothing broke. The signal is real, but it lands at the end of the week, sometimes at the end of a month, and your time horizon for measurement has to stretch. And that is genuinely nerve-wracking. For an entire month, you do not know whether it is working or not working. The data takes just longer to come back. And in that gap between the old fast signal and the new slow signal, most founders feel like nothing is happening. They feel hollow, they feel disoriented, and they start to wonder if they should even be doing this anymore. And what most owners feel here has a name. The framework calls it the identity grief. Not depression, not burnout, the specific grief of releasing a version of yourself that worked for years and is no longer the version the next chapter needs. And that is real, it is normal, and it is time-bound if you do the work. That feeling is not a sign that you should quit. It is a sign that the shift is happening, and the discomfort is the work. Here's the part that makes the source shift feel so hard. It is not that you have to do a few things differently, it's that you have to become someone new. A founder whose value comes from action and a founder whose values come from impact are not the same person. They're different skills even, different self-image, and different daily practices. The shift is not behavioral, it is an identity shift, and it cannot be muscled through. It can only be practiced into exercise. And here's why practice is the only path. Leadership is a tacit skill, meaning it can only be learned by doing. The same way you can only learn to ride a bike by getting on the bike, right? You can read every physics book in the library. You could study balance, momentum, and pedal mechanics. None of it will actually get you to ride the bike. Specifically, the bike teaches you by letting you fall, then letting you almost fall, then letting you correct, and then letting you finally ride. Only the doing produces the knowing. The same is true for leadership. You will not read your way into the source shift. You will not think your way into it. You will not even decide your way into it. You will practice your way into it, the same way that you practiced your way onto a bike, by doing it badly at first, failing forward, slowly developing a balance that becomes invisible once it's yours. Let me name the trap that catches most owners here. It is called the highest paid problem solver trap. The team brings you a problem and you can solve it in 3 minutes. You like solving problems, and solving problems is your old source of value, and your old source feels really good. So you solve the problem. Oh, what's the big deal? I just solved it once. Then you do that 10 times a week, every week, 4 years, and you quickly become the highest paid problem solver in your entire company. Technically successful, right? Personally fulfilled, for now, permanently capped. Because the moment you step back, the problems stop getting solved. And every team member you might have developed into a problem solver themselves has watched you take every problem instead of teaching them how to handle it. And that is the trap. And as owners, this is the only job in the world where being good at something gets you stuck. There's 3 more traps that sit along the highest paid problem solver. And most founders are caught in at least 2 of them at once. Naming all 4 will let you see what's happening. Another one is the emotional center trap. You are the source of energy in every meeting. Without you in the room, conversations feel flat. With you in the room, they have urgency, and the team gets the message. Without your engagement, the work does not matter. So they save their best for when you're watching. And the cost is that the team never builds its own emotional engine. The business runs on your energy supply, which, let's be real, is finite. There's also the waiting for it to feel natural trap. Most founders try to do the inner work before the outer work. They wait until releasing control feels natural. But that feeling really never arrives. The feeling is downstream of the behavior, not upstream. You do not feel ready and then act. You act, and the feeling of readiness arrives weeks later sometimes. After the world did not end, right? You find out, hey, it actually worked out. If you're waiting to feel ready, you will wait forever. And then there's also the they need me trap. This one is subtle. The team genuinely needs your leadership, right? They do not need your daily intervention. The trap is not seeing the difference. You confuse being indispensable to a particular task with being indispensable to the organization. The first is just operational dependency. The second is leadership. The source shift is the work of moving from your operational identity to your leadership identity. And here's the simplest way to say all of this. The source shift is the moment you stop being the answer and start building the people who become the answer. Skip this and the business cannot grow past you. If you make the source shift, the business, for the first time, actually outgrows you. Before we go into the cost of staying, pause for a second. Answer one question for yourself. What would have to be true about your team or about yourself for you to genuinely not be needed in the room for the next 30 days? Sit with that for a moment. Write the answer down if you can, and notice whether the things on your list are about your team or about you. Both are real. The things about you are where the source shift work lives. And that answer is your starting point. So let me explain the cost of not going through with the source shift. Because the longer you stay at level 5, the more the cost compounds. Every year that you stay at level 5, the same 5 things happen. 1, the business is only as good as your most recent week, because you are still the energy source. The quality of the business tracks the quality of your engagement. Have a great week, the business has a great week. Have a hard week, the business has a hard week. All right, there's number 2. You cannot build a leadership layer beneath you. There's no room. The leadership role is occupied by you. Anyone capable of stepping into eventually leaves to find a company where that leadership position is open. And there's 3. Your ceiling is your personal energy. And the personal energy is, let's be real, finite. There is no business strategy that defeats this kind of math. And I've yet to find the perfect number of energy drinks to solve this problem. 4th, you are one major distraction away from a performance drop. A health event, a family need, a new opportunity that pulls your attention. The business is exposed. And 5, this is the most foundational one. You will never build a business someone would want to buy at its real value. Because at level 5, the business is still you. And buyers do not buy you. They buy what runs without you. And that is the cost of staying. The source shift is not optional if you want any of those things to change. Now let me come back to the coaching client that I had told you about earlier. The one who said, I don't know if I want to be a business owner anymore. Here's what I told him. That concern in and of itself is a qualification. If you are not concerned about whether you can lead well, you are carrying some form of arrogance. And arrogance makes a terrible leader. Acknowledging that you have limitations, that you have skill gaps, and that there's a mountain of work ahead of you, that takes humility. And humility is what qualifies you to lead. What you are afraid of is not that you cannot do it. What you're afraid of is the amount of work it's going to take and the skill gaps you are going to have to fill, and the version of you that has to show up to fill them. And that is work, hard work, but that's also work that can be done. The reason the source shift feels overwhelming is that there's no single move that solves it. There are multiple skills you have to learn, knowledge you have to gather, practices you have to install into your daily life. And the version of you who runs a business that does not need you is not the version of you who built the business. The good news is that the work is nameable. The skills are nameable. The practices are nameable. So let me show you exactly what I did in my own business when I hit this wall. So here's what this looked like in my situation. A few years ago, I noticed something about myself I did not love. I was the person everyone called whenever something broke. Team member had a question, call Jonathan. Client unhappy, call Jonathan. Tool stopped working, call Jonathan. And here's what the part that I noticed last. I kind of silently liked it because I felt important. The constant flow of problems coming to me was, in some quiet way, the thing that confirmed that I mattered in this business. And I had read enough business books and had received enough coaching by that point that I knew what was happening. I had built a business that ran on me being the answer. And I was the one who kept feeding that loop. So I made a rule. I only solve problems on Fridays. That was it. That was the whole policy. What happened next really surprised me. Most of the problems got solved before Friday, without me. And the team would bring me something on Tuesday and I'd say, Friday. And by Thursday, they would have handled themselves. Not because they suddenly became more capable, they were already that capable. They just had not been allowed to use that capability. And the "we have to ask Jonathan" reflex was the one thing keeping them from using their own judgment. Only the real problems made it to the end of the week. The strategic decisions, the genuinely hard calls, the moments where my judgment actually added something. When I solved those on Fridays, I did one more thing. I'd explain my reasoning out loud, not just what I decided, but why. And the team started thinking the same way. Within a few months, the conversations changed entirely. One of the team members at the time would bring me a Friday problem and say, well, I'm learning this about it. Here's what I would do. How would you do it? And do you see something I'm missing? And that is a completely different conversation than what should I do? This team member already did the thinking. He was already done, and he was not asking for an answer, he was asking for a second set of eyes. And we were collaborating, not escalating things. Slowly, over a few months, the answer stopped being call Jonathan. The team became the answer. And what I learned in that period, and this the one line I will keep coming back to, is being needed and being valuable are not the same thing. Being needed felt like importance for a long time, but it's actually a ceiling. The shift to being valuable in a different way through what the team became, not what I personally produced, was the source shift in practice. One rule, only solving problems on Friday, held up consistently, was enough to start that. And there is a second moment from that period that taught me a different version of the same lesson. I had a team member at the coaching company who ran social media, and she wanted to design the content system from scratch. New approach, new pillars, new editorial cadence, and my instinct was to control all of it. I knew the company, I had the historical view, and if the system did not come from me, I was sure it would miss something important. And I almost said yes to my instinct and control all of it. But then I caught myself, and the instinct was the old source talking. I matter because I produce. The new source asked a different question. Does she actually care about this company enough to build a system worthy of it? And that was the actual question. I sat with it for a few days and watched her work, and she cared. It was obvious, not in a dramatic way, in small ways. She asked questions about clients she did not need to ask. She stayed on calls past her hours when something needed finishing. And she brought ideas she had no professional reason to bring. She owned the company emotionally, not just contractually. So I let her build the system. I gave her the resources, the access, and the time. And I told her I would evaluate the result, not the process. The system she built was clean, logical, and really good. And different from what I would have built, And in some ways, I have to admit, it was better. The lesson is that trust precedes release. You cannot delegate ownership to someone who does not own the outcome emotionally first. The source shift does not just require you to release control, it requires you to find the people who already own what you are about to release. Develop those people, then release, not the other way around. That brings us to the work itself. The source shift is the slow accumulation of new skills, practiced until they become you. And the skills you're building include coaching instead of answering, reading the room for leadership capacity in others, and sitting with silence while someone else thinks, as well as releasing the control of an outcome that you used to own. And last, holding the standard without enforcing it. Each of them is a real skill, and they all take practice. None of them actually feel natural at first. All of them become natural with repetition. The biggest one of those skills, and the one most founders have never really been taught, is the difference between coaching and managing. Managing is telling people what to do. Do this, then do that, and then check with me. It is fast and it produces compliance, but it also produces dependence because the team only knows what to do whenever you tell them to. Coaching is asking people questions that develop their own judgment. What do you see? What would you do? What are the trade-offs? It is slower, but it produces independence. And it is also harder because most founders are trained to answer, not to ask. The source shift requires you to swap your default mode. You stop being the person with the answer and you start being the answer who pulls the answer out of others. That swap can take years for some people. And it starts with the first time you sit with the silence after a coaching question and you let your team member fill the silence instead of you doing it. There are 6 practices that will build the skill. Done together, sustained for 90 days, they install the source shift in your business and in your head at the same time. So here are the 6 practices. 1. Pick one ritual the team currently relies on you for. The smallest one is completely fine. Maybe it's the weekly approval of recurring spend. Maybe it's the sign off on a routine deliverable. And maybe it is the meeting that only happens because you call it. Just pick one. There's 2. Step out of that ritual. And here's the most important word, step out. Don't delegate. Delegation says, you do this for me. Stepping out says, this is no longer mine to own. And tell the team. Tell the person who now owns it. Then physically remove yourself from the calendar entry, the email thread, or the approval chain. The discomfort that you will feel when this ritual happens without you for the first time is the work of the source shift. 3. Identify 2 people on your team with the highest capacity for ownership. Not the most senior, not the most tenured, the 2 people who, given real responsibility, take it seriously and do not bring it back to you. Write their names down. When those 2 people bring you a problem, stop solving the problem. Ask one question instead. What would you do? Then listen. They will probably say, I don't know, that's why I'm bringing it to you. And hold that silence. Ask again, what would you do if I weren't in the room? They will tell you. And 9 times out of 10, they will tell you the right answer. And then just say, great, do that. And resist the urge to add to it, refine it, or override it. And one more thing on this move. Sometimes you will see that they are gonna make a mistake. And if the failure that you can see coming is small enough that it does not damage the client, the team, or the business, let it happen. Let them make the call you would not have made. That is what leadership actually is. Allowing people to make decisions and experiences the consequences of those decisions. The discomfort of watching a small failure unfold is the price of building someone who can carry weight you can hand off. 5. Every new problem that crosses your desk this week, every single one, ask yourself one question. Who can handle this? Not who should I assign it to? Who can genuinely handle it with the judgment, the accountability, and the follow-through? If the answer is a name, route it there. If the answer is nobody, that is your development priority. Build that person. Do not become them. And I highly recommend you make a sticky note and put it on your screen that says, who can handle this? Oh, and over the next few weeks, every time something crosses your table, let your eyes go to that sticky note. Let your mind go to that question. Allow yourself to sit with that question. Who could handle this? Who could I hand this off to? The sticky note will train your brain to think this way. You'll see it again and again and again, and subconsciously you will internalize that question. And the sticky note is, of course, not the hard part, right? That's easy. The pause it forces is the work. The repetition of asking this question is what eventually changes your default. 6, sit with the one question that anchors all 5 practices above. What do you contribute to this business that no one else can? Not what you used to do, but what you do now. Write the answers down. And to make this question concrete, here's some real value proposition answers founders have written when they sat with this seriously. They came out with, I am the chief vision holder, the person who decides where this company goes and what it stops doing. Another one is, I am the chief relationship keeper. The 5 clients, the 3 vendors, and the 2 industry connections that compounded over a decade have built this business. Those are mine to maintain. Another great one would be, I am the pattern spotter. I see what people inside the business cannot see because I am the only one with historical context across every season we have been through. Here's another one. I am the architect of what we build next. The current business runs. My job is to design the next chapter. Yours might be one of these, and it might be 3 of these combined. It might be something else entirely, and that's okay. The exact words matter less than having an answer at all. The 5 practices are operational work. This question is the internal anchor that makes the operational work make sense. Without an answer here, the 5 practices feel like a loss. With an answer, they feel like the structure that makes your real value possible. So 6 practices done together, sustained for 90 days, those will really install the source shift in your business and in your head at the same time. There are 2 specific operating rituals that can gauge whether the source shift has been complete. The first one is a weekly alignment, a 45 to 60-minute meeting at the start of each week, where the team reviews the company dashboard. They flag any metrics that might have shifted to yellow or to red, and they discuss priorities, blockers, and the work for the coming week. The meeting has a structured agenda the team owns. The second one is a collection of needles moved. This can be a 15 to 30-minute meeting at the end of each week. Each team member reports in one sentence the single most important needle that moved that week. I moved sales calls booked from 12 to 19. Or I moved client onboarding time from 6 days to 4. Each person names the needle. Each person owns the metric. The source shift is structurally complete when those 2 meetings can run for 90 consecutive days without the owner initiating either one. Not 90 days from when you occasionally step in, 90 days where the team owns the schedule, runs the agenda, fills the reports, and course corrects without your involvement. You attend, you observe, but you don't drive. And that is the proof that level 5 is actually structurally complete. You're starting to feel different. Slowly, quietly, but it actually starts to land. You now start feeling valuable because you're building other people. If you would like the meeting agenda for both the weekly alignment and needles move, join our free school community and you'll find them in the resource section. The agendas are field tested. Test them, run them, adjust them based on your needs, totally fine. You do not have to run the rhythm from scratch. Here's what to expect emotionally as you do this work so you don't mistake the journey for failure. It starts with quiet unease, gaps in your calendar, and the sense of not being needed. And you'll start feeling restless without an obvious cause. It also moves through a real identity grief. And that's the hardest stage, releasing the version of yourself that built everything. The pull to jump back in is real. And the realization that jumping back in is the one thing preventing the next chapter from arriving is crucial here. But it will settle into a grounded purpose and a new identity will solidify. You start to know what you contribute and the empty calendar slots stop feeling like emptiness and start feeling like capacity. And the team's success starts feeling like the plan is working, not like you're losing something. And it lands in a calm clarity, not excitement, clarity. You see the business for what it is. You see yourself for who you have become. And you see the next chapter for what is required. That arc, quiet, unease, identity grief, grounded purpose, calm clarity, is the actual map of the source shift. If you are in any of those stages right now, you're exactly on time. You're okay. Let me show you what the other side of the source shift actually looks like in a daily life, because describing the journey is not the same as describing the destination. Let's say it's your kid's soccer game on a Wednesday afternoon, and before the source shift, you go, but you're on the phone half of it because the team needs you. And you miss the goal that your kid just scored. When the game is over, you pretend that you have seen the goal to make your kid happy. Let's look at the other spectrum. After the source shift, you still go to the soccer game, but this time the phone stays in the car and the team handles everything that's going on in the business. Your kid now scores the winning goal and you get to celebrate it with your kid, and you get to create a memory alongside your child. Let's do another example. Let's say your calendar on a normal Tuesday. Before the source shift, you attend every important meeting and you do not realize you are the bottleneck because your calendar fills full of important work. And yeah, that work is real. The problem is that none of it can move forward without you. Every important meeting is a single point of failure, meaning if you cannot be there, the decision does not get made, the deal does not get closed, or the pivot does not happen. The team learns that the business waits for you. And when you're not available, the work significantly slows down. Well, after the source shift, you attend fewer meetings, but the ones that you attend matter more. Vision sessions, quarterly planning, conversations with leadership layer that you developed. The schedule is sparser. The work in it is a lot denser though. You're not less involved, you're differently involved. Let's also take a look at a vacation. Before the source shift, you can't take a real vacation, right? The phone follows you, the laptop follows you, and sometimes you feel really adventurous and you only take the iPad. But you check it on the beach, you check it in between things to do. Something always pulls you back in. And some nights are even spent fixing problems. After the source shift, you take a vacation and the business performs. Not survives, but performs. You check in once at the end of the week and then you find that the team didn't even need you. They held everything steady. They moved the needles that mattered even though you weren't there. And this is not freedom from work, it is freedom inside the work. You're still building, you're still leading, the work is still demanding, but you choose what work you actually get to do and what you want to do. And it is the work that only you can do. That is the destination of the source shift. If this is the kind of clarity you've been looking for, hit subscribe. On this channel, we help business owners grow into autonomous leaders. Owners who can make the most important thing actually the most important thing in their lives. And that is the work that matters. So what are you going to do this week? If you're at level 5, or you suspect you are, here's the work for this week. 1. Pick one ritual that the team relies on for you. The smallest, lowest stakes one. Write it down by name. 2. Step out of this week. Tell the team, remove yourself from the calendar, the chain, or the meeting. Let it happen without you. 3. Identify the 2 people on your team with the highest ownership capacity and write down their names. 4. The next time either of them bring you a problem, ask, what would you do? And let them give you the answer. Then say, do that. If you can see the small failure coming and it does not damage anything important, just let it happen. The lesson it teaches them is worth more than the fix that you would have to apply. 5. Practice the question, who can handle this? All week, every problem, every decision, make it your first question, not your last. And one tactical ad for the practical 5, write, who can handle this? And like I said before, please just put a sticky note on your computer and write down who can handle this. Put it on your monitor and just let it live there. Let your eyes land there every time that a problem crosses your desk. And the sticky note is of course not doing the work, but it will help your brain think about it. And it will put your mind subconsciously into considering who can handle this. 6. Sit with the value proposition question. What do you contribute to this business that no one else can? Not what you used to do, but what you do now. Write down the honest answer. Come back to it anytime the 5 practices above start to feel like a loss. And that is the week. It's nothing crazy, right? 6 practices, none of them technically hard. All of them might be emotionally hard because you have to shift where your sense of fulfillment comes from. But if you are able to just make these small shifts, you're way ahead in making the source shift happening in your brain. And if any of this feels like a loss along the way and the week just feels longer because you're not getting those hits of fulfillment, just know that's normal. That is part of the source shift. And if you want to go deeper into the source shift, I recommend that you go ahead and take a look at the full perspective playbook inside our free school community. It'll walk you through every belief shift that happens across all 7 levels, not just the source shift, but it does in detail provide more depth into the source shift. And it gives you the specific work to make each one of these perspective shifts happen. It's completely free to join, and the perspective playbook is one of our most shared resources inside of the community for a reason. Link to join is in the description below. And if you are not sure whether you are actually at level 5, take the free self-assessment in the description. It names your real level, your real constraint, and it helps you understand what to do next, specifically for your situation. I want to give you a little bit of perspective inside of the identity progression that has to occur inside of the autonomous leader. And the grinder who starts at level 1 has to become a builder. The builder has to become a multiplier. And the multiplier becomes the system builder. And the systems builder becomes a coach. At each of those levels, what the owner did changes. At level 5, who the owner is changes. And that in itself is the source shift. And the work of course continues, right? We're not done after the source shift happens. At level 6, the coach becomes the strategist. And that's the person who finally has the time to think about where the business is going, not just how it's going to go through the week. At level 7, the strategist becomes the visionary. And most owners call themselves a visionary long before they've earned it. The visionary is who you become when the business runs without you. The leadership layer is real now, and your only job left is direction. That is the destination. That is the autonomous leader. My passion is helping business owners build companies that don't need them to run, so that they can give their time to their most important thing. And my goal is to impact 1 million business owners. Making the source shift is the move that makes everything past level 5 possible. It is what frees up your time. And it is what makes you the autonomous leader, the one who can bend their time around what matters most. And that brings us to a question that truly matters. What would you make the most important thing if you had the time to make it the most important thing?